IL2 Sturmovik is a game you will love, regardless of your feelings towards the flight sim genre. If you've not read the preview yet, I suggest you do, as I'll be spending most of this video preview pointing out some of the stunning visuals this game has managed to achieve. Something no other console flight simulator, arcade or casual flying game, in my honest opinion, has done. Not even on the PC. Doesn't matter what flight sim you're playing on the PC, but most PC flight simulators too don't give the same wow factor when playing the game. Let's start with the basics. You're a pilot in the war, and as a pilot with the Allies, your campaigns are determined by the great air battles that determined the outcome of the war. Along with the stock footage from the wartime period and the narration, you get an immersive feeling of where you fit into the overall World War II campaign. Like most real-life pilots, you'll be able to fly most of the aircraft in the game, and you'll be required to do just that as you battle over Britain, scrap over Stalingrad, and bombard Berlin in the last throes of the battle for European dominance. Some of the problems current flight simulator games face when porting to the console is the lack of the control the pilot really has over the aircraft. Now, I know that any real flight sim fanatic will have a PC setup with a joystick, with rudder controls, with throttle controls, but sometimes a little mindless fun on the console never goes astray. The beauty of this game is that the aircraft are still relatively primitive during the Second World War. Therefore, stripping all the different multifunction display options, the electrical systems, the hydraulic systems, even the micromanagement systems, is where this game actually works. This isn't to say that the Second World War aircraft didn't have any depth. On the contrary, the PC installment of IL2, released a few years back on the PC, proves that. But this appeals to a more casual gamer, and does so with jaw-dropping scenery. Never before have I seen scenery which enhances the game world. Sometimes the water effects will be brilliant, sometimes the countryside will look fabulous, and sometimes even the buildings look great. But fly below a certain altitude and you're met with the pixelated hell that is the flight simulator scenery. On PC as well. In IL2, each object commands its own domain, so you could quite easily fly into a single tree on the horizon and blow into smithereens. But fly into the tree in a different way so that your wing clips it, and instead of exploding in a Hollywood-style fashion, you can expect to lose your wing and spin out of control. This is just a testament to the attention of detail that 1C in 505 games has given this title. This may not seem like much, but believe me, this is a huge deal for wannabe pilots. And it doesn't stop with the objects on the ground either. This law applies too in the air. Wing clipping has never been more fun. And fun is really the crux of this game. As you fly around the hectic world, picking off the enemy out of the skies, or blowing them into craters you've created with bombs or missiles, you start to notice the more intricate details, like the sounds of bullets screaming past your ear, the low droning engine noises of the enemy aircraft, and just the amount of detail that the damage system has on the aircraft itself. Having flown a mission and being shot at several times, if you take a look over your wing, you can see shredded wings with exposed ailerons, exposed flaps, and this adds to the intensity of the game. It's a wonderful feeling also to be able to tell the type of the aircraft you're facing just from the noise the engine makes. And yes, I am a geek, and yes, I don't care. But there's something quite satisfying about knowing that the engine sound of the Mustang, of the Hurricane, of anything you're flying is actually the real sound. And you can tell each aircraft has been lovingly recreated. But it's not just the noises of the engines. The cockpits too are dynamic and accurate. I'll level with you, they're not really very good. You can't really read the instruments, although you can zoom in. But let's face it, who's going to spend time trying to zoom into your instruments when you've got more pressing matters like shooting down a swarm of enemy bogies? Although it's not really the best view to do most of your fighting in, the realistic cockpit view is a good view to experience. although it is cumbersome and it does make a nice change from the heads-up view that you'll no doubt find yourself locked into for most of the battles. One of my favourite things, however, flying in the realistic cockpit view is the oil splatter from the aircraft you shoot down. That's right, get close enough to the aircraft you're chasing, shoot it down, and you'll get a whole load of gunk hit your canopy. From a physics point of view, all the aircraft handle differently, and considerably differently too. Some aircraft, like the Russian I-16, will be manoeuvrable and nippy, while the Spitfire will happily nip the upper echelons of aerial combat, even though the Hurricane really won the war for us. As well as handling differently, the aircraft will also sound different when they fire, will have different trajectories for their bullets, and this becomes a lot more apparent when you up the difficulty from standard arcade mode to the realistic mode. It becomes noticeably more difficult again when you up to simulator mode, and it's here that I think the game really does fall down. In order for the game to be successful on the real simulator mode, one has to have a decent flight stick setup. Now, although this isn't entirely 505 Games' fault, you wouldn't have thought a little more time would have gone into making sure the button mapping is the best it can be for the control pad. Not everyone will have the option of buying a console flight stick, but customizing your button layout on your control pad would have worked wonders here, and given pilots a more intuitive feel of the aircraft. IL2 by no means is a bad game, however, and it cannot be ignored. With its incredibly engaging gameplay, its beautiful setting, and the amount of mission variety it offers, it's a game we're looking forward to receiving the final build-off. It's good to know that a well-respected title on the PC hasn't been bastardized for the console. 1C and 505 have done a great job here, and even those of you with standard definitions TV will enjoy a rich flying experience.